The Beastly Banter, a hilarious, snark-infused look at Beauty and the Beast's absurdities. Bonjour, dear reader! Today, we delve into the world of the 1991 Disney classic, Beauty and the Beast, to explore the enchanting absurdities and illogical hilarities that have made it a timeless tale. Prepare for a double dose of snark as we dissect this beastly spectacle. First and foremost, let's discuss the central premise of the film. A young woman falls in love with a beastly creature that has her held captive in a castle. Yes, nothing screams romance like a good old-fashioned case of Stockholm Syndrome. Who wouldn't fall for their captor when the alternative is facing an angry mob led by a brawny man with a penchant for antler decor? In Disney's world, kidnapping is just an aggressive form of courtship. Speaking of Gaston, can we talk about his absurdly exaggerated machismo? With a jaw that could crack walnuts and muscles that put Hercules to shame, it's a wonder he isn't the town blacksmith instead of the local heartthrob. And let's not forget his iconic anthem, "No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston," which could be easily adapted into "No one's thick as Gaston, no one's dense as Gaston." Gaston is the epitome of brains and brawn, well, minus the brains. Moving on to the Enchanted Castle, we're introduced to a delightful array of anthropomorphic household items. There's Lumiere, the flirtatious French candelabra, Cogsworth, the stuffy British clock, and Mrs. Potts, the maternal teapot with her son, Chip. It's a miracle that Belle didn't develop a phobia of home furnishings after spending so much time with them. And let's not forget the logistical nightmare of having to replace them all once the curse is lifted. I can only imagine the castle's Craigslist ad. Wanted, one talking wardrobe, must be fluent in opera. Now, about that curse, a young, selfish prince is transformed into a hideous beast because he refused to let an old beggar woman into his castle. Seems a bit harsh, doesn't it? After all, we've all made some questionable decisions in our youth. Besides, the curse didn't just affect the prince, but also his entire staff, who are turned into household objects. Talk about collateral damage! The enchantress must have skipped ethics class during her magical training. As for the enchanted rose, it's the ultimate symbol of the beast's ticking biological clock. The curse can only be broken if he finds true love before the last petal falls, which seems like an awfully specific deadline. Is there a Bureau of Magical Relationship timelines we don't know about? And let's not overlook the pressure this puts on Belle. Talk about a high-stakes first date. If it doesn't work out, it's a lifetime of teacup conversations for her. But how does Belle even find herself in this predicament? Well, her father, Maurice, gets lost in the woods and stumbles upon the beast's castle. I mean, who hasn't accidentally wandered into a mysterious, enchanted castle while picking wildflowers? Happens all the time, right? And when the beast captures Maurice, Belle bravely offers herself in exchange for her father's freedom. Remember, kids, always trade your loved ones for mystical creatures, it's just good manners. And let's not forget the movie's grand finale, where the beast magically transforms back into a prince. But let's be honest, after spending so much time as a monstrous creature, the prince's human form might be a bit of a letdown. It's as if Belle fell in love with a majestic lion, only for it to turn into an average house cat. Sure, he's a handsome house cat, but still, where's the fur and fangs? And what about those sweet table manners he developed while eating like a beast? It's a real bummer for Belle, who now has to retrain her once beastly beau in the art of civilized dining. Lastly, we must address the iconic ballroom dance scene, where Belle and the Beast whirl around in their finest attire to the melodious tunes of Tale as Old as Time. But really, who taught the Beast to dance like that? Are we supposed to believe he just naturally picked it up while sulking around the castle for years? Or perhaps he secretly binged on Dancing with the Stars during his beastly tenure? Maybe Lumiere offered dance lessons between his candlestick duties. After all, he seems like quite the multitasker. And let's talk about Belle's wardrobe for a moment. Despite being held captive in a remote castle, she manages to sport a stunning array of gowns throughout the film. Did the Beast have a secret stash of designer dresses lying around? Or perhaps the enchanted wardrobe doubled as a personal stylist, magically conjuring up haute couture creations in her spare time. Either way, Belle's fashion game is seriously on point. While we're nitpicking, it's worth noting that the entire town seems blissfully unaware of the gigantic, enchanted castle lurking in the nearby woods. You'd think someone would have stumbled upon it at some point, right? Were the townspeople just really bad at exploring? Or maybe they all agreed to pretend it didn't exist, just like they do with Gaston's appalling table manners. Then there's the question of what happens after the curse is lifted. Do the castle's former occupants just go back to their old jobs? Are they plagued by flashbacks of their time as household objects? And what about the Beast's vast library? Does Belle suddenly find herself responsible for managing the world's largest collection of dusty tomes? The movie conveniently glosses over these important details, but hey, who needs a logical conclusion when you've got a magical, fairy tale ending? In the end, Beauty and the Beast is a tale filled with enchantment, romance, and a whole lot of illogical fun. So grab some enchanted silverware, throw on your finest ball gown or fur-lined cape, and join in the laughter as we celebrate this beastly, beautiful classic. After all, who needs logic when you've got talking teacups and a love story for the ages?